Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the SkyTour Radio Show with Mark D'Antonio and Amanda Curran. And we'll have featured guests. And sitting next to Mark is Kate Dolvelson. She's here from Norway, and she's got a new book out. Kat, if you want to just go over that quickly, a couple of words on that.
Always when you're putting someone on the direct line like that, of course, you don't know what to say.
Get you closer.
Yeah,
Okay.
my book is about my life story as a hybrid. Close encounters, several close encounters, implants, and also a lot about other paranormal stuff. So, yeah.
All right, we're going to jump on the air quickly, so stand by, everybody. We're about to go on the air.
See you soon.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
The universe is calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello and welcome to SkyTour Radio. This is Mark D'Antonio on KGRARadio.com. I'm here with my effervescent and ever-present co-host, Amanda Curran. Hello, Amanda. How are you way down there at the other end of the broadcast studio?
I'm well, Mark. How are you?
I'm fine. And I say other end of the broadcast studio because this is a first. Amanda is here. She came down from Canada, where she lives.
Live on location.
Live on location at Skywatcher Studios to be part of the Pine Bush UFO Festival. And we're going to talk to Amanda a little bit about what that was like for her, because this was a kind of a big trip for her.
It was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Tell us about your first impressions and what you did when you got here.
First thing I did was hug our wonderful producer, Belle, my good friend and wonderful host. And yeah, just getting to know everyone. Pretty much everyone's like they were online. No real surprises. People might be a little taller or shorter than I anticipated, but just a great group of people, and I feel very at home here, and it's wonderful.
You actually had a trip too to New York City, didn't you?
I did. We went to Strawberry Fields.
Okay. That used to be a record store from where I grew up, Strawberry Fields. Or Strawberries, Records and Tapes it was called. But I don't know what Strawberry Fields is because I'm not a Beatles fan.
Ah.
Uh-oh. I've just made an enemy of my co-host, folks. Oh, no. Yeah, well, so anyway, that was fun. Now, the Pine Bush, I guess just tell you this. It's not just Amanda that's here at Skywatcher Studios. Bill Skywatcher has put up, I don't know, how many people came this time?
I'd say about 15.
And that's Bill in the background you're hearing now. 15 people came here and were basically living at Skywatcher Studios. There were blow-up air mattresses all over the property, tents outside, 10-man tents outside, and people just lived here on the property like some kind of a music festival, but it was all about the Pine Bush UFO Festival in Pine Bush, New York, and it went very well. A lot of people had a good time, yeah, Bill?
I thought so, and yesterday I thought it was an amazing day at Pine Bush itself. I thought it went well. I'd say there was about 8,000 people there. What do you think?
Yeah, there were many thousands actually. It was the biggest one so far, I think, and that was made only too clear when we did the evening presentations. I did a talk in the evening along with Peter Robbins and Tom Reed, Travis Walton, Tom Reed,
Cheryl
Costa, and Amanda Curran even got to stand up and say a few things because I made her.
Because Mark embarrassed me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was more people in that room than you could ever imagine. And, you folks who know me know that I'm an astronomer. I do talks on astronomy. Go figure, right? And it was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed giving my talk, which was on the types of stars that support life, that can't support life, and the hunt for exoplanets. And
And on a side note, yours may have been my favorite speech, but I'm biased.
maybe so. And I appreciate that's very kind of you. Thank you. And I do know that there were a number of the people that are living here for the week at Skywatcher Studios were actually there and enjoyed it, because I inject humor, because I think, science is accessible to everyone. And I think that's why I have a show on KGRA Radio, which the reason I have that show is because of the man sitting to my left, which for those of you on KGRA DB is conveniently out of shot. But this is his shoulder. You can see it, and that was his arm. He actually convinced me that I should do a show on KGRA, and so I did, and it was a very good choice. And we went from an hour to 2 hours.
Yes, I think it was the best thing. To me, that was a no-brainer, because I believe that the show is highly successful on KGRA. And if anybody hears any kind of odd sounds, because the mics are kind of close proximity, so we're all like bundled here in the room. But it's been a wonderful time to be your producer as well. I'm humbled and honored to be a part of this with both of you.
Oh, and you know what? You're great. And I'll tell you this, we got this beautiful studio couch behind us. Amanda's over on a beautiful leather studio couch over there. You can't see her because she doesn't want to be on camera. Figure.
Opted to be on camera today.
Yes, so if you want to know what Amanda looks like, maybe during the break we'll actually sneak the camera over there and embarrass her.
That won't be happening.
She'll cover her head with a pillow or whatever, but you know what? You'll at least get a chance to see her. Anyway, the thing is that at Pine Bush, when we did the talk, when I did my talk anyway, the thing I have to mention is the reception by the audience was by far the best I've ever had at Pine Bush. They were really receptive. They had plenty of great questions, and they really kind of just warmed right up to you, because that's the kind of people that are here in this area of the state. And some people came from a fairly long distance, actually. No one farther than Kate Thorvaldsen here, who actually came from Norway. I think that Kate was probably like 8 or 9 hours in the air.
7.5 hours.
7.5 hours. Wow. I mean, it takes that long sometimes for me to fly from Connecticut to Phoenix, Arizona, with a stop and layover, but she was in the air for that amount of time. That's a long time to be in a plane.
It's not that bad, actually. It has been worse.
Yeah?
Talking about 13 or 17 hours.
Oh.
We're talking.
Well, you actually traveled to Mongolia, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. 2017.
Wow, 2017 to Mongolia, probably as I think you said, the most beautiful landscape on Earth.
It is, definitely.
Wow. So, I saw a photo on Ket Thorvaldsen's Facebook page. You can actually see a photo of her holding an eagle. Of course, with one of those wrist gauntlets, that you hold eagles with. I guess that's probably helpful when eagles' talons can slice through your hand. What was that like?
That was very powerful. And actually, you can't trust them 100%. So if they want to, use their beak on your eye or something like that, so you have to be careful.
Well, I saw you leaning away enough, so I think that you were leaning away because you're like, don't get near my head.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because it's like an ice pick on a bird.
Yeah, something like that. A very big bird.
Yeah. And I just want to give out another warning right here that, just so you know, SkyTour Radio is coming to you from Newburgh, New York right now at Skywatcher Studios. We have a massive thunderstorm cell heading our way. And we heard rumblings of thunder already, which you may or may not hear over the mics. But if we suddenly go dead, it's because we lost power. All right, so if that happens, all we can say is, as Amanda is fond of saying, welcome to live radio, folks. Right, Amanda?
That's right.
Yeah. So I wanted to actually take a moment for all of you that are listening on KGRA to talk to our guest, Ket Thorvaldsen, because I think that it would behoove you to listen to some of the experiences that she's had. And they're all part of her book called A Hybrid's Story. And it's a story of Kate Thorvaldsen and her encounters. For the people that are watching KGRA DB on YouTube, you can see the book cover. And I would make sure that I'd like to encourage you to go check out the book and buy the book, which Kate will give you the contact information to do that. It's actually very easy. It is available on Amazon, but she has copies that are even better, and those are the ones that you should actually, purchase, I think. Anyway, Kate, tell us a little bit about the reasons why you wrote this book. What is it that happened to you that made you think you wanted to write this book?
For me, it is important that how to say it that way, that there are so many people all over the world that are having this kind of experiences, and most of the time they don't know who to talk to. Normally, they're going to the closest family, but most of the time that's also the worst thing you actually can do, because they will laugh at you, and they are not. The family is the first one that really puts you down if you're experiencing something like that.
You had that happen?
Not that much. I was actually quite lucky because I was, looking for something else.
Yeah. So when you wrote your book, what was the primary motivating experience? In fact, tell us what you mean by a hybrid story. Tell me about the title of the book.
The title of the book comes from a lifelong self-search through a lot of paranormal experiences and my close encounters. And when you're digging deep into yourself, your entire life, you find out what your purpose are and how you are connected with everything, and why you are actually here.
Okay, so
it's a big answer for a little question, actually.
Yeah,
you actually have to read the whole book then you will actually see what I'm trying to say.
Well, can you share with us one of the experiences that shows up in the book?
Yeah, I can tell about the first one I had when I was 3 years old. That is quite funny, actually. This was happening very close up to Christmas time. My mother, she has put me to bed for the night, and but I wasn't tired. So I was standing in my crib, looking out in the black room and looking out the window. Could see some stars perhaps out there. And I don't know for how long I was standing like this. And then suddenly this gray creature was coming through the wall on the left side of me. And he was coming slowly, gliding over the floor. And then he was standing up just in front of me, in front of the crib. He was just a little taller than me. And we were just standing there looking at each other. And of course, I was 3 years old, and I was thinking, okay, I want to try to talk with this creature. So I was start babbling along, but he didn't answer. And I understood quite quickly that we were communicating between our minds instead. So he was giving me the feeling that he was there just to see if I was okay. And that was it. And then he was leaving the same way, out through the wall. And then in the next moment, I saw him again, together with one more, inside our craft, hovering outside our window. And then they just took off. And of course, in my head, I was thinking, oh, it must be Santa Claus, because I was told that Santa Claus would be coming. So that was my feeling about the whole thing. But a few days later, Christmas Eve was coming. My mother, she was taking me on her arm, taking me into the TV room, and I was going to meet Santa Claus. And of course, I was very happy about it until I saw the Santa Claus, because that Santa Claus, he was big with a plastic face, false beard, red suit, and I was terrified. I was screaming my heads out because I didn't like that Santa Claus. That was not my Santa Claus. So even my mother remembered that I was talking about that this was not my Santa Claus, that mine was little and white, and
Wow. So the Santa Claus you saw was actually a gray alien?
Yeah. But he didn't look like a Santa Claus or anything like that, but it was just in my head that I was thinking, oh, that must be Santa Claus, because they were telling me that he was becoming.
You didn't know any different?
No.
That's funny. Wow. I mean, that's an interesting story. I mean, how do you, I guess when you see a creature, you make the assumption it's Santa Claus. That's quite a thing for a small child to go through. I mean, that's really, what's the word? Frightening.
Not at all.
Confusing, no?
No.
You weren't confused by it?
No.
Well, what were you?
No, for me, as I told you, for me it was Santa Claus, because my mother had told me that he would be coming in the next few days.
Right, that's what I meant was when
I saw the red one, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a little bit confusing, and
Okay.
of course, I didn't like him at all.
Well, you and a million other kids on the planet, okay, don't like Santa Claus. In fact, how many of them scream and cry when they're placed in Santa Claus' lap? I think that's pretty crazy. But anyway, I think that
I have a question.
Okay.
You said when the first encounter happened, or when encounters happen, some of the first people you talk to are your family members.
Yeah.
And they're sometimes the first to put you down. I've heard a lot of people think that if it happens to one person, there's a likely chance that it's happened to other family members and that it goes back generations. Do
Yeah.
you believe that? Do you have any thoughts on that theory?
Yeah, my mother has seen them. My grandfather has seen them.
Oh, okay. So it does go in your line then.
It is.
Oh, wow. So they believed you right away then?
At the first, they didn't understand actually what I was talking about because they have been seeing the crafts.
Oh, okay. And you actually saw a being?
Yeah.
And they had never?
No.
Wow. Why do you think you were chosen to be shown the creatures as opposed to generations before? Just not ready, or something special about you?
I don't know.
You don't know?
But in the other hand, for me to have a visitor from them, for me it goes with a bigger picture, like past lives that you can have been one of them. And there a lot of people are talking about bloodlines. For me, there's not only just the bloodline. For me, it's that they are following your soul. They are tracking your soul.
Okay.
Interesting. So, I mean, and my point of view is a little different. I look at it from a practical point of view of a visiting alien species. Okay, because that's what I am. I'm a science guy. So, everybody in this room knows that's what I do and what I'm like. And it doesn't have science doesn't have all the answers, that's for sure. But I think of it this way: we go up to the Yukon Territory, for instance, and we tag elk and we tag bear and other creatures. What must they think in their thinking? Because they do think. We know they think, and whether it's as advanced as us or not is probably it's understood they're not as advanced as we are. But what does an elk think when he's tranquilized, gets down, and suddenly surrounded by humans? He gets up and he's running around with this big radio collar on. He may not recognize the collar. At least humans don't think he does. But I've seen at least one video of an elk trying to scrape the collar off, so they know it's there. All right, but then they just say, "Well, I'm just going to deal with it," or whatever. How do they handle that? But the fact is, if we're tagging elk, then maybe we're humans are being tagged. But because, and I mentioned this in my talk last night at Pine Bush, if humans are being tagged, we can't have the tagging be done in a way where we're walking around with giant radio collars around our neck, okay, and not recognize it, because of course we do. All right, so clearly we would have some type of tiny microscopic implant of some kind. The listeners to SkyTour Radio in the past know that me, Mr. Science Guy, I've had an experience I can't explain. My current science cannot explain why I had something in my nose and my sinuses that I didn't know and understand. And this thing was, put up there over 3 terrifying nights. And I won't go through the whole story, but we can obviously take questions. And if you guys are on the KGRA database or DB site, and you have questions, you can throw them into the chat there, and maybe we can get to them because the chats are in front of us. We can see it. But the other thing is, and I'm not sure about the KGRA chat. I don't know, Bill, if people are doing KGRA chat.
We're on my channel.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. So anyway, the bottom line is that if we're going to be tagged with something microscopic, something we can't see, and make it very surreptitiously done, so that and maybe they'll provide us with a memory of what it might have been. Hence the potential mythology surrounding owls, where you see owls are actually screen memories for alien creatures. Owls and alien creatures kind of look alike when you put them side by side, so it's possible. We don't know. It could be. So I would say that the fact that you've had your experiences the way you did, I had an experience of my own, which was absolutely terrifying. It's part of the reason I moved out of the last house I was in, actually. What do you do? What do you do with that? What's your science tell you? What does our science tell us when we don't have anything to support it? we have an experience that's unsupported by the current science. I have no idea what to do with it. In fact, I do a talk, where does science go in the face of the unexplained? Well, this is one of those things. Where does science go in the face of the unexplained? Kate Thorvaldsen has explanations for some of these things. And you got to watch for her in the future, because she's got some really cool stuff that she's working on. And we're not going to say what it is at the moment, because it's still something in the process that she wants to unleash on the world. Okay? But it's pretty cool. And as an astronomer, I like it. I like what she's doing. She actually has some theories that live in the world of astrophysics. And you'd never think about it. You never think that she was someone that was into astrophysics, but that she is. She thinks astrophysics. Very, very, very clever person. And I did want to mention that, again, you can find her book, A Hybrid Story. You can get it from her website, which is KateThorvaldsen.com, and that's KateThorvaldsen. KateThorvaldsen.com, and you can buy them direct from her. And what are you selling them for, actually? Do you know?
It's $22.99 unsigned and $24.99 signed.
Okay, so she sells them signed and unsigned. So, if you want her to put an inscription, you can let her know, and she will do so. And just to show you how popular it was, at Pine Bush, she put out a whole load of books and only came away with 2. All of them were...
I bought one.
And all of them were sold except for 2. So, and that was only because they were put out late in the day, and they still all went. So this was pretty cool. So anyway, that's who's sitting with me now is Kate Thorvaldsen here. This is Ket. And we always butcher her name. We say Kate because it's spelled that way, but it's pronounced Ket. Yeah. All right, I'll try to remember that. I'm very bad at it. But in any case, I did want to make sure that people know that that's where she's falling in on these abduction scenarios and on the hybrid stuff. She's probably one of the few people that actually has what I think is a good handle on what's really going on. And she's borrowing a lot. She's borrowing a lot of her background, or I should say, borrowing a lot of her book content from part of her astrophysics involvement too. So, it's kind of an interesting blend of stuff. I don't want to be speaking for you here.
Are we allowed to say how she acquired this information, or is that part of the secret?
How I get the information?
How you acquired the information? Yeah, how you got it.
It's just if we are talking with someone that we're talking, let's say we are just discussing astrophysics, sometimes it can just be a word or something that can trigger my mind, then the download starts.
So it was all downloaded. I'm not sure if people are aware of that or not. All this information was downloaded for your next book.
Yeah.
And it just kind of words and equations fell before your eyes, or you saw it in your mind?
You're seeing it like a film.
Okay.
It's like the same way that Tesla was working, because he was doing the same thing, but he was working with engines, so he can see it as a 3D in front of him, and he can take one part or something else and put it into it and see if it works together. And I'm doing the same thing with physics.
That's amazing. And I know we were talking earlier in the week, and you think you can see almost to the beginning, past the Big Bang, even.
Past the Big Bang, yes.
That's incredible. And I guess you have no idea how long it's going to take to put this into book form?
It will take a little while. Hopefully I will be done this year, but the book will be at least 200-300 images, at least.
Wow. And you're going to hand draw them all yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, very cool. And I've seen some of the preliminary images that she's come up with, and we can't say too much more because we don't want to spoil her unveiling. But what I got to tell you as an astronomer, right, when you're in astronomy, you deal with cosmology, you deal with astrophysics. They're all different disciplines. Cosmology is about, how it formed, okay? Astrophysics is, the equations and details of how the universe was actually made. And astronomy is, what it's made of and what's going on out there. So it's a really interesting blend. And she came up with some diagrams that to display her astrophysics work that are actually very interesting and really quite close to what modern astronomers and astrophysics folks and cosmologists think the universe actually looks like. And she had the diagrams out there before the first diagrams were produced by these research programs.
Yeah, mine is all the way back to 93.
In 1993, right? Yeah, and that was interesting. That and we didn't know a lot about the universe cosmologically at that point. Well, we did, but not this part of it. Okay, only in recent years did we learn about the amazing material between galaxies, and that was because of fast radio bursts, which Amanda and I did a show on. They're called FRBs, fast radio bursts, and we thought that these galaxies in between had nothing there. Look, I'm talking like I'm using with the language barrier. How you talk and you leave out certain words. I'm doing the same darn thing. Cut it out. So in between galaxies, we thought there was no matter for a long time, or something that we couldn't see. Well, anyway, it turns out that there is something to see, because these fast radio bursts change as they go through all the material between the tens of billions of light years away they are, and the material between us and them. And as they pass through it, it changes the nature of what these little fast radio bursts look like, which are microsecond bursts, as we talked about, millisecond bursts. And it turns out that these objects, these bursts, actually change enough so that we can determine what's in between the galaxies. And if you build a picture, you see that the picture that we're coming up with, which only came out recently, in last few years, is, I'll say, disturbingly similar to things you've produced in your astrophysics diagrams. So I'm on board. I'd like to see even more. So I would like to thank Ket. Sorry, see, you did it again.
Yeah, you did it again.
Thank you. I want to thank Ket Thorvaldsen for being here with us today on SkyTour Radio. Ket, thank you. I wish you the greatest of luck. And remember, folks, A Hybrid Story. It's available at KateThorvaldsen.com. That's Thorvaldsen, THORVALDSEN. KateThorvaldsen.com. You can buy the book there, and you can also buy it on Amazon, but she has better copies. All right? So I want to thank you again. And this is SkyTour Radio. I'm Mark D'Antonio with Amanda, and we will be right back.
Clear. I'm so used to doing it with the mic. It's crazy.
Now, the folks on YouTube, you still see us. We're still live, so that's okay.
And before Ket leaves, I just want to say, now, we're having a little issue with my mic, but for some reason.
Sounds so loud in my headset, and
I can lower that.
Way overmodulated every time I talk.
No, I'm looking at you. I'm watching
I
it.
took my headset in the front here because it was too loud.
Yeah,
testing.
That's
1, 2, 3.
Here.
Okay.
I just want to say also, Ket is an incredible person.
Oh, she is so sweet, so nice.
She's gone through a lot in her life. She's overcome a lot of obstacles. She's become really a successful business person. And I think also she'd be a great motivational speaker as well. And I think you're going to see a lot of different platforms that she's going to be out there in the future.
And she also has a YouTube channel. Check that out.
Yes. So
from paranormal to normal.
Yes, exactly. So I have a lot of respect for her, and it's an honor and a pleasure to have her here and part of this whole group here and everything that she's doing in a personal matter. So I want to thank you.
Thank you for being here.
All right, so we got about 2 minutes before we hit the air.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ket, and I think we're going to bring on...
We're going to bring in Keith.
We're going to bring in Keith. P&K, Science. So Keith is next. And this was a last-minute stream. That's why I didn't get a chance to get the titles up and
you get
running.
Is it Ronald? Is Ronald next, probably?
It's up to you.
If Charles is available, have him come in. If not, have Ronald come in. I want Charles or Ronald in the hot seat here.
Charles, if possible, or if not, Ronald. Testing. And we have all these 4 mics in a proximity of like 4 or 5 feet. So we're a little close together here. We've got 2 minutes.
And I'm running on no sleep, so I really don't want to be on camera tonight. Sorry, guys.
Oh, don't give me that. No sleep.
Sorry, guys.
By the way, Bill,
nobody told you to stay up till 4 a.m. watching movies.
You don't have any water.
I didn't, actually.
No water?
Mm-mm.
Again now?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yes.
I just put it back on.
Oh, like in the last 10 minutes?
Go check it quick. We got
Yeah.
less than a minute. Go check.
Oh, okay. Just if you got it on
Ken,
quick.
just wave to us if the water's back on. Just go like this. It's on. That means it's on.
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Oh, you could do thumbs up, down. Yeah.
Hi.
Get ready. Get in the chair.
Charles, sit in the hot seat, would you? That's the.
We're coming back
the
on the
on
end.
Blue
deck seat.
orb
40
is in the
seconds.
hot seat. Blue orb in the hot seat.
Are you all set out there?
Much you can. Is Heidi?
Is it raining yet? No. Okay, good.
Wait, maybe the storm will miss us, but it didn't look
They
like it
back
was
yet?
gonna.
Tom Reed and Heidi and all them back yet? Not yet.
You're good.
Good.
Thank
Cool,
God.
thank you.
Water's on. All right, so
We're
we got
hoping
about-
It's not
We're
one thing, it's
hoping-
another around here.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
hoping
yeah.
we're hoping to have Tom Reed on a little bit later with us as well.
Yes.
And we'll have Ronald from ERT Radio on because Ronald and Charles trekked all the way from, well, as far away as Jeffers, Minnesota, and on the way through
All right.
Ohio.
We're coming back.
And how long?
We're coming back. Stand by.
That didn't answer my question. That's the way Bill is, guys.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, go.
And welcome back to SkyTour Radio. This is Mark D'Antonio with Amanda Curran. And for those of you on YouTube who are watching on the KGRA DB channel, you'll notice that Ket Torvaldsen has been replaced by this character over here. On my right, this is Keith Ickes,
Hello.
half
Hi,
of
Keith.
half of P&K Imaging, P&K Space Imaging, which has tens of thousands of viewers, followers, subscribers, and you know, Keith's done a marvelous job with that channel. And whereas the guy on my left side, Bill, is responsible for me doing KGRA, the guy on my right side here, Keith, is responsible for SkyTour Livestream, which is our nighttime foray into the deep sky. Actually, we have Astro Imaging Live here,
Yep.
don't we?
That's
Sure
right.
do.
Okay, we have Bill on the left here, Bill in New York Skywatcher. We have me with SkyTour Livestream, and we have P&K Space Imaging right here.
Yep.
All right, so the three of us make up astroimaginglive.com, which is a website you can go to check out the streams. And if any of us are streaming, you'll see the live feeds there. You can click on them and jump into them, involve yourself in the chat, pop out, and come back to Astro Imaging Live and go into the others. It's
And
really
the best
nice.
thing is if we're all three streaming at the same time, they can watch them all
That's right.
simultaneously.
That's right. 'Cause
Just
we're
pick which
all-
audio you want to listen to.
That's right. All they have to do is pick and click the audio.
Yep.
Pick and click.
Pick and click.
Yeah. So this is really cool. So that's what the three of us are actually working on. Is astroimaginglive.com. It's sort of like your one-stop shop for for doing this kind of stuff. I see for KGRA DB on the channel, you'll notice that Keith is like out of shot. I'm scrunching down so he can be seen. Keith is way up here, and
Sorry,
so
I'm a little tall.
yeah. So we should just have him sit on like a bouncy ball or something.
Put
you
me on
know?
a box.
Boing, 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 boing.
Yeah.
But Keith, I wanted to ask you a question. What was your impression of the Pine Bush UFO Festival? Because we are in Pine Bush, New York. We're at Skywatcher Studios and doing this this show from Skywatcher Studios. What did you think of Pine Bush? This is your second year, correct?
Third.
Third.
And let me
Wow.
tell you, it's been more and more busy every year. It's been gaining people. I wouldn't be shy to say that they're on the upper level of their expectations this year for attendance-wise.
They're probably going to have to move the evening talks to a new venue because we actually had standing room only in the evening venue. The room was maxed to capacity, and they brought in even more chairs so people could actually sit. But it was maxed out. And it was just really, really impressive to see the turnout. You know,
A lot more participants, too. They're
Yeah.
dressing up, including some of our own,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
you know.
That would
Yeah.
be me.
Yeah, that's right. And Amanda has this thing for a cartoon called Sailor Moon, and I think that's correct, right? Sailor
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sailor Moon.
and she was dressed up as one of the characters from Sailor Moon, namely
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon. Okay. Well, it didn't have to be Sailor Moon. It could have been one of the others.
It could have been.
Yes. And so
She's
to
the
look
moon
at her-
princess. I figured she would fit in with aliens.
Very good, and that made sense. That makes a lot of sense. You know. So
Can I just say it was epic?
Thank you.
Epic.
And she was taking photos with kids. They were drawn to her.
Yeah.
It was actually an awesome moment to watch you in that
Thank you. It was so much fun. Once I saw all the other aliens, I said, yeah, I got to be part of this. Twist my rubber arm. Let me get dressed up as Sailor Moon.
Yeah, a lot more participants. The museum did great.
Yeah.
There were lines everywhere.
Speaking of the museum, I talked to the curator at the museum is a guy named Lance Hallowell. And Lance, I have to tell you, running around like a chicken with his head cut off. But let me tell you, that guy does a marvelous job. He actually brought everybody together. He oversaw installations of new exhibits right up to hours before the museum opened. And he was let's put it this way. If you had 42 people just nagging at you to, give you answers every step of the way, which all required you to move to a different place in the museum to see what they were talking about, I think you'd be Bill. He was like this guy. He was like Bill, who was actually quite a bit, worn out.
Yeah. I think everybody was. Everybody just from the amount of stress involved.
Yeah.
And you put in a lot of work, Mark, with your models. Yeah. You did 3 replicas of different events in the timeline of Pine Bush in the history of sightings and encounters.
I did. I wasn't going to say anything about it. Because
it was beautiful work, and you put a lot of work into it.
Amazing. Absolutely
it was incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I think, hopefully, he will put them up on our SkyTour live stream Facebook page. And let everybody see them.
I wasn't even thinking of that. Usually I put up all the photographs on SkyTour live stream.
We've been really busy, but I will nag at him until they're up, and you can all check it out there.
And she will. I can promise you she will.
Also, I want to say it is awesome to have everybody in-house right here. Amanda and Mark doing a show right now for KGRA SkyTour Radio. It is absolutely just an amazing experience to be here amongst you. And, of course, having P&K, of course, Keith here, and Blue Orb, for those who know Blue Orb, Charles is here, and Ronald, and a lot of folks are here, and it's just been a great experience on my behalf. I want to say thank you to all of you.
Now we have
and
Blue
to
Orb.
Such a gracious host with you, Bill. Holy cow!
That's right.
I just want to make one note as far as Pine Bush yesterday. Fox News was there. Now, for those who may be familiar with Tucker Carlson and the coverage he's been giving to ufology in recent years. You will see a special in the upcoming days with Tucker Carlson in regards to Pine Bush. And I know that he interviewed Travis Walton, Tom Reed, and someone in MUFON. I think he's the head of the investigators, the field investigators. Is that right, Mark? Do you know his name, Chris?
I don't know who got the interview.
But there's been a big case up here, in I think it was this past week, and there's going to be a major investigation by MUFON. And of course, for those that are listening, most are aware that Mark is the chief photo and video analyst for MUFON. So there's actually a big case here now in the Hudson Valley, and they're looking into it. So keep an eye out for Fox News and Tucker Carlson. So there's going to be something coming in this upcoming week regarding Pine Bush.
Wow, yeah, and I want to thank you for that call out of the models I did. I wasn't going to mention it because,
Well, it should be mentioned. You put a lot of work into it, and it really showed. It was incredible.
I ran this. This was a job that Lance Hallowell asked me to do. There were some sightings of UFOs here in the Hudson Valley, and some of them actually occurred on, let's put it this way, over Pine Bush. There was one sighting where a pair of triangular UFOs with red lights on them were seen by 2 gentlemen walking through a cemetery area. So we reproduced this cemetery and these guys walking with the UFOs in the sky against the trees. And it was actually quite... They came out fairly realistic looking. It was really amazing to see how it came out, and I was really pleased. Then we did one where I recreated the whole, the center Main Street of Pine Bush, on
where the festival was being held on Main Street.
Yeah, I recreated the entire thing in a small model. Built all the buildings, and we can actually point to the diorama that I made and say, "Oh, we had lunch in this building. Okay, here's the old bank building, which is now a restaurant." And we ate there, and we did this, and we went here, and here's the museum, and we had all these really cool things. And then, of course, they're all lit. We had street lights in there, and it's all small-scale stuff. And they came out really nice. And then we even put the trees where they belonged to try and make sure that people understood,
attention to detail.
Yeah, a little attention, so they can see where things were. And that way, when people come in who are local, they can look and say, "Oh, look, I know exactly where that is." we have a gazebo in there that's just like the gazebo here in town, or in Pine Bush, that we did. And that was nice because it points out, where the sighting was, seen from. It's a point of reference to where the sighting was. And the UFO over Pine Bush was apparently some big rectangular UFO with white lights around the perimeter and red light in the middle. And we showed that. We created that UFO. So we had to light it and wire it and all that. But it was really good. And the thing I like the most, actually, is for the scenes in the cityscape and the scene in this other scene, we had to create grass, and there's stuff you can buy to make grass. But, I'm a science guy, right? So I said, look, I want realistic grass. Well, how do you make realistic grass that sticks up? Well, the only way you do that is you actually create you actually have to just create like a unit that will actually positively charge this stuff you're sifting out of this thing over a grid, and on the table below you actually negatively charge the table, and the stuff stands up when it lands. Oh, cool. So I built one of those units out of some yogurt containers, an ionizer, and bam, I had standing grass that would fall down, land perfectly in the glue I sprayed, and bam, it's perfect grass. I think that's really cool stuff.
It was amazing. The detail's incredible, and we're sorry to talk so much about it. The pictures will come soon, I promise.
They will. Anyway, and the last sighting was one where there was a little girl in a sandbox, and her mother was in the house looking through the window at her playing in the sandbox. My job was to recreate the scene where this gray alien in her report is coming out of the bushes on the corner of their property and walking toward her. So we did create that. We created the scene. We had a little girl sitting in a sandbox. I 3D printed the little girl and mother, that kind of thing. So in other words, we use technology to recreate these in some cases, and they really came out nice. And lighting is really where the tire meets the road here. Yeah, you had to light it right.
Agreed.
I want to say I seen photos that they brought back after he had finished putting up the exhibit at the museum, and if you had seen it, you would have thought it was an actual photo outdoors. Me and Amanda were like, "Oh my god!"
It almost looked like the scene from a movie.
Yes, it was incredible.
The angle he took the picture, it like the scale all showed as if it was actually a picture.
Yes.
Like Bill said.
And I said to everybody, there was one particular one that he described with the objects over that he had hooked up, and I said, you should show that to people and say that something happened on the way home, and you took that picture getting out of the car. It looks that realistic. I was amazed.
Yeah, and with all the lighting, it was just incredible.
Well, I'll tell you this, okay? And we're going to stop talking about my stuff because it's really getting me, embarrassed.
No, it's interesting, man.
Doubt it.
I think that no, I will, because, this is about the people that are here tonight and the Pine Bush. I know. Yeah. I'm one of them. Yeah, okay, whatever. But, and I appreciate your comments. It's just, museums don't often get a chance, I think, to display events properly. They always seem to have to cut corners. I wasn't going to do that for the museum. Okay, there were some snafus along the way.
Yeah.
But they have these beautiful exhibits now that I think are going to tell a story that's very important. And I don't think you can skimp on telling the story. And so I had to do it to the best of my ability, even though I knew that powers beyond Lance Hallowell in the museum were trying to cut the budget down on it. Yeah. Frankly.
Well, you did a tremendous job.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah. But anyway, now I'd like to actually have Keith, jump in here, because I would actually like to talk to Keith about some of the things that happened in P&K this past few months. And I talk about maybe this one particular lunar stream that we did. We were doing a lunar stream. In fact, during the eclipse, if you recall the eclipse, there was a set of. There was a set of. Sorry, I'm just messing with my headset thing here, which is not allowing me to hear. There we go. I'm not touching it anymore. There was a lunar eclipse that occurred, and people around the world were watching the lunar eclipse, and most of them didn't catch when the meteor actually hit the moon. There was a point during the lunar eclipse where the meteor hit the moon. I'm not rubbing it in, Keith. Okay, because I think
you're allowed.
Okay, we caught it. He didn't.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, let's explain why.
Okay, let's explain why. Go ahead.
Because we were underexposed at the time.
Yeah.
Looking for detail for the eclipse, and you had a nice full shot, and great capture.
Slightly
I mean,
overexposed.
hands down.
Well, no. The thing was though. Okay, I have to explain this. The moon during a lunar eclipse, the moon is going behind the Earth, and so we're actually seeing the shadow of the Earth being cast on the moon. And just like when you look at the sun at sunset, all right, the sun looks red. Well, the sun's not really red. The sun is whitish yellow, okay, in reality. But when it's going through more air at the where it's at the edge, where you're looking through it at the edge, more air, circular planet, more air the light is going through, more of the blue light gets taken out, basically. That's called scattering. We've talked about this before, but just remind you. Mm-hmm. And then you see more red light. Well, when the shadow of the Earth is seen from the moon, when the moon is in deep shadow, deep Earth shadow, then you will actually see the moon looking orangey red. All right, because that's what from the moon it looks like. There's a rim all the way around the Earth from the moon's point of view of a red rim, and that's the sunset as seen from the moon. All right, and that's kind of weird. You have to be able to think in a three-dimensional way to understand it and see how that works. But that's what happens. And it looks really, really cool, And I think that when you look at the moon in a lunar eclipse, it's absolutely amazing. Now, when we had a full view, and we were actually overexposing just a little bit, which means that we were doing a little bit longer, gathering time for the light so that we could see more detail in the darker reddish areas of the moon during this eclipse. We got lucky. I'm not saying we knew it was coming because we couldn't predict it.
Right. We
got lucky in seeing this little flash. It was like, it was there and it was done. During the actual stream, me, I didn't catch it, but somebody else in the chat actually did and said, "Hey, what was that flash?" So we went back, we looked at it, and sure enough, it was there. And your first thought is, maybe it's a camera artifact. Was it something caused by the camera?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did was check Griffith observatories, and people were saying it there, and that pretty much confirmed it. And then a lot of others came in too as well, identifying it, and it was all the same spot. Everything lined up, so it's like, we had an impact during the lunar eclipse.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty cool, And I during that we actually relied on Keith to actually get the get the information to us about whether other observatories had seen it, because I was tied up doing the stream. And during that time, he figured out that it was a real event. So before the stream was over, we kind of knew that there was a real event that had occurred, and then we confirmed it with everybody the next day. And there was a few of us in the world that actually caught it. And unfortunately, P&K space imaging was literally so close. And like Maxwell Smart in Get Smart, missed it by that much.
It's
just you were off by like maybe 10 seconds, right?
Just a bit outside.
Just a bit outside and away.
Yep.
10 seconds or so, he lost it. Then it was back to the view that would have caught it.
But that's okay. That's fine by us. I'm just glad somebody caught it. And being that so many did, that's awesome. Because our thing from day one was just more people watching. Yeah. Whether it be on our channel or individual people starting their own moon streams, or that's all. That's the only thing that's important. And now you got so many people that we've met through doing the streaming that are now getting their own telescopes and their own camera systems, and they're even if they're not streaming, they're recording and uploading for people. It's great.
Yeah, I think
awesome.
And you do a phenomenal job. On P&K Space Imaging. When I first watched P&K Space Imaging, I was astonished to just hear music and these gorgeous views of the moon. The SkyTour live stream telescope is not tailored to looking at the moon in the kind of detail that Paul and Keith use for P&K Space Imaging. Yeah. Right?
And that is all Paul.
Oh, all Paul. Oh, stop.
No, seriously, it is.
Oh, stop. Okay, here's what really goes on. Okay, Paul sends Keith a wonderful feed, no doubt, of the moon. And then Keith turns around and does some spectacular effects to help enhance what people are seeing. Things like sharpening, things like color changes and filter, simulations. All things that make it look better for the viewer. So P&K Space Imaging, if you haven't subscribed, then what the heck are you thinking? Do it right now. It's on YouTube, P&K Space Imaging. Make sure you get there.
And we got some good surprises coming this year too.
Oh yeah.
Little teaser.
Anything you can share?
Nope. I'm just throwing it out there.
That's a big negatory.
Can we mention the October thing?
You just did.
I'd rather confirm first and get people excited.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I want to thank Keith on behalf of KGRA Radio for all his help. He is a tremendous asset to me, and I can't thank him enough. And I am really, again, honored to be your friend.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
And I kind of like you too.
Yeah, you're all right.
You know, Bill's responsible for getting me on KGRA because Bill was just a madman about getting the astronomy out there, which was really wonderful. Keith was a madman about getting me on the streaming circuit, basically.
It's a perfect fit.
It turned out, yes, and I was actually kind of hesitant at first.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a month or two to mull it over. And we had already thought about a radio show at that point. Isn't that, Amanda, you know the chronology better than I do, actually, because my mind... I think so. Well, good. Maybe, and not so bad then. No, but we started the radio show over a year ago, right? We just hit a year this past January.
Yep.
Okay. And SkyTour live stream had been going already before that.
It'll be, I believe, 2 years coming up.
Okay. So that, yes, in July. In June, yes, that's right. We had first light of the telescope at John Zach Memorial Observatory for SkyTour livestream.
I'd say it was early June.
Yeah. So basically, SkyTour livestream got started before we started KGRA.
About maybe 7 months or so.
Yeah. And then Bill started pestering me to start a KGRA thing, and that's exactly what we did, and we really haven't looked back.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw in, I knew from the get-go that 1 hour was no way going to be adequate.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
And thank you to all our listeners, because you guys asked for it. You kept pushing for it, and that's why we got the 2 hours.
There you go.
Thank you for coming back week after week and supporting us. And
yeah, a prime
so
time slot.
appreciated.
Prime
It
time
really
slot
means the
from,
world.
from 8 to 10. And the latest numbers show that we reach about 4 million people a month, is
It's
it?
incredible.
I think the 3.
3
Right
million.
now, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
only
don't
3
wanna-
million.
No, because there's some folks out there say, oh, you guys say 4, we say 3.
Oh, okay.
To
All right,
be on
well,
the
that's
safe side,
fine.
3.
That's fine. But you know what?
3 is good.
If you think about
3
it,
is incredible.
that's 3 million people that can have a chance to listen to us. And I'm really humbled by that. This is great
I'm
stuff.
blown away. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That shows that there's a true desire for this kind of information.
For the science, you're
For the
right.
science, yeah.
Amanda and I have
There's
talked
thirst
about
for
this
it.
before. There is a real thirst for this, yeah.
Yeah, the non-sensationalness,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
point of view.
many times, YouTube is fraught with people that claim the earth is flat, and they make all these big convincing, YouTube videos that show flat earth, okay? And I'm not going to mention Amanda, where I met Amanda the first time, okay? Uh-oh, now I have to, don't I?
Talk at your own risk.
Oh, boy. Well, anyway. Okay, well, you know what? I don't care, because I think the flat earth is actually kind
Well, we're just meeting in real life for the first time now. You may as well talk about the first time we met online.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair. But I wanted to mention that, we never discuss flat earth. We only, talk about the silliness of it. Because there are people out there that absolutely refuse to believe their eyes, what they look at.
And for the record, I was never, now nor have ever been a flat earther.
Understood. Understood. I'm really pleased about
Gotta
that.
clarify.
Because if you were, you would never now nor ever be the host of SkyTour Radio or co-host.
You might take pity on me and want to educate me, which is
No.
sometimes how I feel. Like
Well,
Eliza
no.
Doolittle.
You know what, though? Okay. Give me the spectral classes of the stars right now. Quick.
OBF, fine guy, kiss me. OBAGFKM.
Almost. OBAFGKM. Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yep.
Yeah,
She got
okay.
it.
All right. Okay.
Pay
cool.
attention, teacher.
No, I just yeah. Well, see, my point being, folks, this is someone who knew no astronomy coming in. Now she understands what this means. All right, what's an O star versus an M star?
The O stars are bigger, bluer, and cold and hotter, and the M stars are smaller, redder, and hotter, colder.
That's
Oops.
right. She got it. She got it. Yeah, she should.
I'm
yeah.
not used to being on location.
Yeah, I know. Well, see, okay, what's the point? The point is that people thirst for astronomy education, and the education will bring you far. Here's why. I'm an astronomer, and I'm a realist, okay? I believe that the universe is a populated universe. And that's why the populated universe, that's actually the title of my upcoming book, The Populated Universe. I believe that there is plenty of life out there. And it's only for us to find. And Keith is a big fan of the James Webb Space Telescope, which is going on.
I'm ready.
And the James Webb Telescope is one that actually has a suite of infrared instruments. Infrared instruments are heat instruments, instruments that detect the heat, the residual heat from a solar system, planets around another star. And it can detect some of the components of interstellar, that is to say, extrasolar planets, planets around other stars. It can look at the atmospheres. Now, if they can detect, if they can detect things like carbon dioxide and methane, then it's part of a foregone conclusion that they will probably be associated with oxygen. So indirectly, we can see an oxygenated atmosphere with the James Webb.
Yep.
That's pretty cool, huh, Keith? No.
That was with you being a master of exoplanet stuff. That should just be you. I don't know how you're not running around like a squirrel, ready for this thing to happen.
Look, I've already made messes already. I made messes already because of it. Okay.
But look at the reason too. Like
Gross.
you're talking about this, that a lot of people. I mean, look at the state of even our own nation right now. Look at all the attention that's starting to go towards space, towards the moon, towards these for hire rocket companies, pretty much.
Yes, commercial adventures.
It's insane.
The commercial. I think that space belongs to the commercial venturist.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's driving a lot of people heading towards the astronomy field, because a lot of people are seeing that as the future.
Yeah,
they're going to have to somehow get trained in that.
I totally agree.
I
totally agree, and I think that's very important to understand. And I think we're moving toward that.
Yeah.
We're definitely moving toward that. So I think that when we get the James Webb up there, we're going to see some things that we just don't expect. We're going to be able to detect these debris disks around other stars. We're going to be able to detect the atmospheres of planets.
It's going to change astronomy forever.
It's going to change astronomy forever. And on that note, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. This is Mark D'Antonio with SkyTour Radio with Keith Ickes from P&K Space Imaging. Tell people where you can find you.
Right on YouTube.
P&K
just
Space
search P&K
Imaging
Space on YouTube.
Yeah, P&K Space Imaging on YouTube. Have fun.
Very easy.
And Amanda and I will be back in just a minute. Talk to you soon.
Clear. I'm so used to having the mic on mute. Tom Reed came in. I'm going to go over there. You're going to get Charles on next.
Yep.
And I'm going to see if Tom wants to jump on in the last segment, I guess.
You will.
All right, I'm going to go. I'll be right back. We have 3 minutes to
3
get to the... 3 minutes. So you better make it quick.
Oh my God, move.
Have a seat there.
And Charles is going to come on next. So I'll be right back, folks.
I'd like to have you talk
so
about
not
your
used to
background,
that.
too.
My background?
Let me get out first.
Which one?
Exactly so. Okay, you got to be careful.
Oh, I can hear it from the other.
How much time, Bill?
3 minutes.
Well, folks, I don't know how much time we have, but you know something? Doesn't matter. We'll have some fun. What? What'd you say? I couldn't hear him. I couldn't hear him.
Okay. Well, I've got it's your channel. It's the chat room that was up a minute ago. Are they hearing us or not?
Yeah, this is live. You're on YouTube right now.
I'd like to say hi to all my friends in chat. Back here in the back, and I've been watching, and I brought out the wrong glasses, so I can't really follow what's going on. I can barely. I know I see Kathy there.
Do I have to
and
read this to
Lorraine,
you?
and-
I don't know. I killed
So-
it.
Bring that down.
All right. 2.
90 seconds.
We have 90 seconds
90
before we go
seconds to
live
go.
again on the radio. Hey, and look, Charles Smar is going to join us, and Charles has a wealth of background that's going to be kind of fun to talk about, and he's going to get into every bit of it and talk to you about his incredible past. I just said that. I don't know. Hey, Carolina
Has somebody
Astronomy.
been telling stories on me again?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Hey, Daryl. Good to see you out there in the chat. Thank you for
Hi,
dropping
Daryl.
by.
I
As you
can't
can
see
s-
chat. It's too far away for me to see.
As you can see, Daryl, tonight is a basically a wonderful summary show.
At 9:15, I would say.
A summary show about the Pine Bush UFO Festival.
Needs to close them. It's gonna pour.
All right. Oh, well, then someone's going to have to go out to my truck. Because Keith said he left my...
Give him the keys.
Keith said I can't because I can't
Tom
get up.
doesn't want to come on?
You have to go give my keys to
Does Tom
Keith
not want to come on?
He's coming on the last
and
segment.
tell him to close the windows of my truck because he said he opened them.
Tom said he'll come in the last segment.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Well
Close
done.
that door, please.
Yes.
It's a little chaos here, folks. They just walked in the door.
There's no
Chaos?
In that
Here?
room. In
there's
that
no
room there is.
chaos.
This is Chaos Manor.
no chaos.
Especially the past week.
Hey,
Oh,
Daryl,
yeah.
yeah. Listen.
All right. We're coming back in 10 seconds.
Oh, okay, fine.
Let's see if
No, because
anyone
Mark
can hear
will-
Heidi
you
laughing
guys don't
from the
know.
other room.
Mark and Commander really get on me. You don't know what goes on in the air. It's fun, though. It's always fun.
Only 10 seconds? No, we're
No, that's now. Ready?
no.
In 3,
Uh-oh.
2,
Here we go.
1, go.
Hey, folks, welcome back to SkyTour Radio. It's Mark D'Antonio here at KGRARadio.com with my host, Amanda Curran, who's still doing all right, yes?
All right.
And I got to tell you, Amanda's wearing a really cool T-shirt today.
A present for Mark.
Yes, but you're not showing it because you're afraid you go on the air. But
They
that's
saw
okay.
it when I walked by in a commercial.
Okay. You didn't stop and show them. It's a SkyTour live stream shirt. And just a recap, SkyTour live stream is a wonderful place you can go to on clear nights to see a beautiful deep sky night tour. We do them all the time. Amanda's the co-host there, as well as the co-host on SkyTour Radio. So it's all things SkyTour. SkyTour live stream, SkyTour Radio. And pretty soon we'll usurp Bill, New York Skywatcher, and he'll become SkyTour Bill.
Producer Bill.
SkyTour Producer Bill. See, SkyTour, everything, all things SkyTour. And when we take over P&K Space Imaging, it'll be P&K SkyTour Imaging. I'm only kidding. The fact of the matter is, we had Keith Ickes from P&K Space Imaging last time. And now we have another guest with us, and it's Charles Smar. Now, who's Charles Smar? Well, I'll let him tell you. Charles, tell us a little bit about your background, and tell us why you're here at Pine Bush with us.
Well, this is my second year, so I am no longer a noob. I was able to do this is my second year, and I've enjoyed myself a great deal this year.
Fantastic.
The only thing I can say is everything just seems to be going so fast. The festival itself was wonderful. I had a great deal of fun, talked to a lot of people, and it was just it just seemed like we just got there and it was over.
Yeah.
And the lectures were informative, good guests, good speakers. So it was altogether a totally positive venue by itself. But being with my friends, my old friends and my new friends here, was just made it all that much better.
It did, didn't it? I mean, it was fun. We saw you last year here. You actually drove all the way out here from
Near Canton, Ohio.
Canton, Ohio.
433 miles by
Wow.
Google.
Yep. That's amazing. So that's a good ride. Now, I want to know. What's funny? 'Cause I want to know a little bit more about your background, Charles, because the listeners don't know. I know, and I just want you to tell them a little bit about your background. That tell people why you like this stuff, why you like astronomy, why you like ufology.
I was in becoming interested in astronomy and space probably because of the era in which I grew up. I mean, that was the beginnings of the space. I was, let me see, 1960 when Shepard took the first flight. I would have been 6 years old.
Wow.
And I saw that and I said, wow, that's something that I want to learn about. And I started reading and started, constantly watching all the news on TV with the Mercury astronauts, and then up through the Gemini program, and then up through the Apollo moon landing. At the time of the moon landing, that was in '69, I was 15 years old.
Wow.
So it was just a part of my growing up. It was integral into growing up.
Yeah.
And
I just have to say, you know, for people that are hearing this, you're hearing someone's first-person account of the history of humans in space. Now, we used to call it the manned space program, but yeah, it's humans in space, okay? So I'm being a little, more correct about it, because we have had many female astronauts now, as we should always have had, okay? And the Russians were the first ones to do that, by the way. And as far as the space program, the thing I want to point out here is that our space program is one that has grown from infancy to maturity, as well, for what we can do, maturity through many years of trial and error, accidents, death, and restarts. And the shuttle wasn't the first. The shuttle was not the first disaster. There have been other disasters, and we've had some. Apollo 1. Remember Apollo 1?
yes, I do.
Grissom,
I remember
Chafee,
the fire
and White.
fire on the pad.
Right, and that's where they learned that,
three-
that pure oxygen shouldn't have
Was
been
not
pumped into
not
a
not a
capsule.
particularly good idea for a tin can filled with wires and electricity.
Right, there was a short under one of the couches in the Apollo 1, and the short under the couches caused a fire, and in the pure oxygen environment, the fire went loose, and it killed the astronauts in seconds. And that was Gus Grissom, Chafee, and
White.
Ed White. Ed White, who's had the first human American spacewalk, I believe, right? Correct?
I'm not absolutely certain, but that sounds like
Yeah.
like you were right there.
Yeah, and I think
Was he the one that almost got stuck outside because his spacesuit expanded more than they
yeah,
anticipated?
yeah. There you go. So
Okay, yeah.
Good call. See, here's what happens. Space has low pressure. Obviously, we can't say it has truly zero pressure because he's in Earth orbit, and there are some molecules up there and some atmosphere, but it's extremely thin. It's effectively a zero G, no atmosphere there. So when we look at you're wearing a spacesuit, all right. When you go outside of a capsule, the spacesuit is actually expanding because it's pushing out with 14.7 pounds per square inch, which is the pressure we feel on Earth. But out in space, that spacesuit actually will inflate just a little bit. And the astronauts in the early days became little Michelin Man, types, where the Michelin Man, if you recall, has this gigantic ring around them of stuff, kind of like the what's it? The
Little blimp people.
yeah, the little blimpy guy, the marshmallow guy. What was that from Ghostbusters?
Stay
Oh,
Puft
Stay
Man.
Puft.
The
Yeah.
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yeah. Yes. What were you thinking of? The Stay Puft Marshmallows. Oh, yeah. Well, so the astronaut spacesuits would expand a little bit because it's trying to contain an atmosphere that's breathable and safe for them. And when early astronauts went outside the capsule, now they're in this this environment where there's zero pressure, effectively, and then the spacesuit will expand. And these hatches were designed for a normal spacesuit to get through. Well, guess what? The spacesuit was larger than the hatch, so he was actually kind of almost stuck.
If I remember the solution to that particular problem, they dropped the pressure in his suit to barely survivable levels to get him back in.
so that they could actually get him back in. What's the other option? Stick him with a pin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was. That was a tough call. It didn't get a lot of press at the time.
Right, because
I don't think.
No, because they didn't want to.
people to worry. Yeah.
Well, they didn't want the Russians to know.
They didn't want any bad press.
They didn't want the Russians to know. So see why I'm having this guy on? The guy's got a lot of fun knowledge. He's actually kind of fun to talk about these things.
It's hard to surprise Mark. It really is.
Not really. You could certainly surprise me.
Kind of enjoy it. I keep trying to. I wouldn't do it online or on a chat to try to ask him a question he couldn't answer, if I ever find one.
I'm not afraid of any questions. Because you know why? I'm not afraid of saying I
That's
don't
right.
know. I'm
That's
not
right.
afraid of saying I don't know.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with not knowing.
I like hearing him when I can really kind of push him over the edge to where he's actually speculating a little bit. So
Well, if you think about it, okay, astronomy is my thing, and I've said that probably 27
I know.
times so far.
I'll never be the astronomer that you are.
That's okay.
As much as I love it,
Yeah, but that's okay,
'Cause you're just the technical guy.
Maybe.
You're a particularly great teacher.
But think about this, okay? We always talk about astronomy and so forth, but when you think about how far we've come learning about the universe, and you think about the achievements that humans have made in space, the space station, the space shuttle,
The Mars missions.
the Mars missions,
Mars missions.
right? The robotic Mars missions, which I have a great story to tell about those. These particular missions were all part of my childhood growing up as well. I went through the Apollo 1 fire. I went through Apollo 13, losing an oxygen tank in the service module. Those of you out there who know this, you probably lived through it. I've been through this. I know we landed on the moon, and I really have no patience at all for the people that say we never went there. And you know why? Because usually they're people that weren't born in that era, were never part of it, and that were just speculating from their armchairs. And those are people that I just would like to, just like throw a little rock over their head and, have them go chase it. You know what I mean?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about with you, because it's a little pet peeve, I think, of yours and mine, is the lunar landing hoaxes. The people that say we never went, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You could tell by the way he answered that, folks.
Yes, those people.
Those people.
I've spent far more time looking at their quote-unquote evidence than it deserves, I'm sure, as you have.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't work, it doesn't work,
That's correct.
There are anomalies in some of the images and things, but they're just that. They're just anomalies. They don't show that they're in no way do they prove that we never went to the moon.
That is correct. There's no way that they prove it, and we know that we did. And the bottom line is that when we look at the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Quick Map browser, remember that, folks. Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO, Quick Map browser. Quick Map is one word. Quick Map. With a Q and an M. Quick Map. You look that up. You look online, and there is a menu along the side. I actually have done in SkyTour Livestream several streams where I actually took people through the usage of this online amazing lunar atlas discovery tool, and people can go and see what's going on and see all the places on the moon we landed, see the tracks made by the rovers, and in some cases the astronauts themselves, see the shadow of the American flag on the moon, and in one case see the actual flag on the moon from way up, and I think that's pretty cool. And so I think it's a neat tool, and we will talk about it again. And if you look there, you can actually see all the places where other things have crashed on the moon that we've produced, and other things that landed on the moon that we've produced. So I'm sure that this will turn out well, And as one of our chat users, Daryl, who you've heard on this, Daryl Mason, who you've heard on our SkyTour Radio show, has said, the ancient Greeks knew the world was not, was actually round thousands of years ago, and they were able to work it out.
They approximated the size.
That's correct.
Within a reasonable
within a reasonable value, yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's pretty cool, And I think that it's very important to understand that the people that say the Earth isn't round, the people that say we didn't go to the moon, they're just trying to get you to click on their YouTube video, man. That's all they're trying to do. So what you should do is not click on it, but do leave a comment on their video and say,
you were really stupid.
Do that.
Because bad reviews get just as many points as far as YouTube is concerned as good reviews.
Yeah. So I would actually, I would say that I actually encourage people to leave bad reviews, because if people leave a bad comment on a video, to me that basically tells everybody looking at the video that their video is full of non-scientific, what I call science-free approach. It's a science-free, science-free. Feel free to use that.
Brain cell free.
Yeah, that too. Well, you know what? We're going to actually. I'm going to thank you, Charles, for coming on for a little while.
Thank you for having me.
And we're gonna
Thank you, Charles.
We'll come back someday, and you and I are going to argue about whether we should go back to the moon or not.
Oh, I think we should, but I think that we're gonna have to go there first.
Not that place.
Yeah, we should because
Worthless,
we're not
worthless gravity well.
we're not going to be going back to we're not going to be going to Mars before we go back to the moon again. But I want to thank you for coming on board. We're going to hot swap Ronald in for a couple of minutes. And I just want to tell you folks, just to make sure that you tune into a SkyTour live stream on our clear nights. If you haven't subscribed to us, please do. And make sure that you join SkyTour live stream. It's free. Amanda's the co-host. Right, Amanda, way over there?
That's right.
Look at that. She's still here. She's still with us. And the reason you don't see Amanda is by her request. Now, it's too bad.
Don't make it sound that bad.
Did you not say you didn't want to be on camera? Okay, there's the pause. All right. Yes, she did not want to come on camera. That's okay. You know.
Actually, Mark, before you know me with my typical interruptions, before
As
you
usual.
bring Ronald on, Dusty Witch in chat has a question. He wants to know. He heard a story where a probe crashed into the moon and caused the moon to ring, proving the composition was not what we thought.
Well, a lot of people use that probe. Okay, L-Cross did it. Other meteors cause it. But the fact of the matter is, the moon rang when it was seismically stressed like that. And what it proved to us is that the moon was actually nearly solid. It didn't show that it's hollow. Okay, it rang like a bell, as they say, not because it's hollow, but people think bells because they're hollow underneath. Oh, it rang because it's a bell. Really? Well, there's stones here on Earth that you can tap, and they ring as well. They're actually called the ringing stones. Look them up. All right, and it really proves that our seismology of the moon has been correct. The moon is nearly solid. So I'm sorry, folks, if you think that the moon is not solid. Well, that's your own fault, because it is. You have to know the science, and if you don't know the science, you can ask anyone at SkyTour Radio. We will be happy to help you. We have an email address. It's called skytourradio@kgraradio.com. And now, I want to welcome Robin Williams to the show. This is Ronald, yes. Ronald does have a remarkable resemblance to Robin Williams, who has unfortunately passed. But you don't look like him in the past state. You look like him when he was alive, so you know.
Good thing.
Ronald actually runs ERRT Radio on Mixlr, so check it out if you get a chance and listen to his show. I think it's really nice. He's done some great things. And our own co-host, Amanda, has a show on ERRT Radio. And
A show or three.
A show or three. Okay, tell people about your shows on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, my God. Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern is Music with a Theme, where I take a theme and work the songs around it. Sunday night at 10:30 p.m., actually a half hour after this show ends, we have the Sunday Night Funnies, where I feature a different comedian each week. And Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have a listening party, where I pick an album or artist and play a full album.
I mean, that's great. And Ronald, you built this station up. Tell folks real quick, and we don't have a whole lot of time, but I'd like to have you at least have some time. Tell people why you started ERT. Tell them what ERT means.
All right.
All right. Let's hear it.
And we have amazing Amanda, who does so much for the show and all of us, I think.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me play.
And you were wonderful yesterday at the UFO fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Billy, amazing this week. Just hosting everybody and helping everyone. And then Mark, of course. But ERT Radio is a station that is trying to help people become aware of things that they might not know about, or might have forgotten, or might be afraid to even talk about. And what I'm trying to do is expand our awareness on things that we can learn about and share and talk about and get out there and really be part of the community and just help get the information out. So, and you were on my station a couple of times.
I was.
You were on for an interview, and then Amanda surprised me with a show that you had a show for
I
2 hours.
hijacked his station one morning.
Yeah. And you had a space launch or something like that.
That was when the black hole
the
picture
black
was being
hole.
unveiled.
That's right.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Someone else had a space launch.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, but ERRT stands for something, right?
Epic Reality Radio Tour.
Epic Reality Radio Tour. You heard it
And-
here first, folks.
And what that means is that I can have a radio show anywhere at any time. What's how internet's going today? You know, I can go
Yeah.
into a coffee shop. I can have a radio show, a talk show, right there.
It's
That's
an
awesome.
Yeah,
Epic Reality Radio Tour.
there you go. Anywhere. Here
Wow,
I am in New York, and I live in Jeffers, Minnesota.
You made a real hike to come down here,
Yeah.
so I'm glad you had a good time.
Right. And Bill was making this little square motion because I was about to say it. Because Bill likes to spill the beans before I do, so I always like to slam him now and then. But the fact of the matter is, Ronald lives on what we've termed a postage stamp. I've never seen a town that looks like a postage stamp, but Jeffers, Minnesota is a postage stamp. Look it up, folks. Look on Google Earth.
It, yeah.
And you will see that Jeffers is this little tiny, well, it's a rectangular postage, I just said it, right? A postage stamp. And you can walk around the entire town. In fact, you take walks daily around the entire town, don't you? Yeah. The whole town. One day, can you imagine that?
Yeah, you couldn't do that here.
No. You can't. So I think it's fun. And Ronald, I want to thank you for coming on and telling us about ERT. I want to make sure that people go there. ERRT Radio is found on Mixlr. You can find Ronald up there. He's generally in the chat saying hi to folks and talking to people.
Facebook radio sessions.
Ooh, well, that's new. I didn't know about
that's
that.
And check that out. He's been posting a lot of behind the scenes of Pine Bush back here at Bill's.
Oh, you know what?
Different places. We
better
were on a
not.
cruise Thursday. We were in New York in Times Square and Strawberry Fields Tuesday. He filmed it all. So if you want to see
And
what
I
it was
even
really
got a
like.
dance. I got a free dance with you.
Yes, and he had a dance with
Wow.
me in Strawberry Fields.
Yeah.
Perfect gentleman.
Wow, that's
Wouldn't,
amazing.
Wouldn't leave me stranded when I
No.
wanted to dance.
That's fantastic. And you also got a really interesting photo in the Imagine Circle, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very important for you. Tell us a little bit about that. I know that it's not astronomy, but you know something?
Well, you know
I
what?
don't care because I think it's kind of cool.
John Lennon claims he saw a UFO over New York.
Tell me about that. Tell
just-
everybody about that.
I just kind of did.
That's all there is to it.
Basically.
Oh, come on. Detail, please.
Well, I think he thinks he received something from a creature. I don't know if it was an egg or a rock. I forget the details now. I wasn't planning on sharing the story, but and he gave it to someone, and I want to say it was that illusionist. I think he was British. What's his name?
British illusionist.
And he's involved in paranormal stuff too.
That sounds like Chris Angel.
No. I can't remember. I'll
Okay, it
I'll
doesn't
remember later on. I'll remember at like 3 a.m.
We don't remember all the names around here. That's because we're slightly senile.
Yuri Geller.
Oh, Yuri Geller.
Yuri Geller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe he wasn't British. I can't remember. But yeah, and I believe.
I don't know any Yuris that are British, but that's just me. I mean, maybe he was. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Okay, I don't know.
But anyway, I want to say thank you to you, Mark, for everything you
For
do
what?
with Amanda. You and Amanda have a great show on YouTube.
No,
and
we do.
of course this show here.
Like
and,
I said, we reach 4 million people a month. We're very pleased. 3 million.
And then,
Going to 4. We'll be to 4.
Hopefully.
Before long. We'll be
Tell a
long.
friend. Maybe we will
there
get
you go.
there.
That's right.
And again, thank you to Bill, and thank you to KGRA for such great people that work with you and work on the station. And thank you.
Wow. Well,
and this YouTube stuff is amazing.
Okay.
So.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I love that it's a place where people can ask questions, can put in requests for items. As long as it's visible in our hemisphere, we bring it to you, or do our best to bring it to you. And yeah, it's a fun place to be, and I hope everyone enjoys it as much as I think they do.
Well, I would like to just, now that we're talking about all this and we talk about Jeffers, Minnesota, I'm going to ask Ronald a different question, a question about astronomy, for crying out loud.
Go for it.
I've never been there, so I want to know, how do your skies look?
We're still, we have rain now, or we did have.
Okay,
we
your
had
clearest night.
6 months of winter, which was too cold, and snow. 3 feet of snow in the yard, and overcast, and just not.
So not many clear nights, or
not right now.
No.
So have you had the opportunity to use your new telescope yet?
No, we were
Which
going
is
to
where
try.
I was about to talk about.
We
And
were,
once again. This is great.
Bill put on the spoiler.
It's okay.
All
You know
right.
what? That's fine. That's kind
No,
of
anyway, yeah. So
this dynamic.
I did get a new telescope, but I was inspired by what you're doing.
Yeah.
And by what Bill does,
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, I should get one, and then we could try it. Of course, I haven't had a clear sky yet.
Well, you
But-
brought it with you, so we're hoping that it's raining right now, but we're hoping to give you a chance or give you a shot to actually show us the telescope, not on the air,
Right.
but off the air after the radio show. We're hoping to maybe give you a little primer on how to use it, because I know that you've been asking.
Yeah.
I mean, only for the last week.
Yeah, right. But
know?
we've had clouds almost
we
every day.
have.
Yeah.
We really have.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And now
But-
we have lightning.
But it's been really great, even with the weather. It's
Yeah.
been really
Yeah.
great with being with such fine people.
It might be
you know.
raining outside, but it was warm in the house
Yeah.
with all the love and all the friendships.
But
Oh, Amanda went all woo-woo on us.
Aw.
yeah. But thank you again, and well.
Yeah, no worries. But
no.
so what we're gonna do, Ronald, is we're gonna do another hot swap here. We're gonna
All right.
help you out, and we're gonna bring in our next guest, who is a man who has a marvelous, and we'll get to him after the break too. He has a marvelous story about an encounter and the ensuing publicity, followed by a park that has been brought up, or that he actually has been spearheading. And the park has been getting some fantastic attention, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And I just wanted to say one last thing here. That Ronald, when Ronald was here, I basically wanted to make sure that he understood that we will teach him how to use his telescope. We're not going to cut him loose without him going back to Jeffers,
Good.
without some kind of a lesson. And if that lesson is you have to give it to me to install in my observatory, then that's the lesson you're going to have to follow. I'm kidding. Yeah, I've been drinking lemonade, okay? He asked me what I was drinking tonight. Okay, folks, listen. We'll be right back on SkyTour Radio with our next guest, who is a wonderful guy named Tom Reed, good friend of mine. The man is a master, and wait till you hear what he's done for this amazing ufology arena. We'll be right back. This is Mark D'Antonio on SkyTour Radio with Amanda Curran. We'll be back in a moment.
Clear. Wow, thanks for that.
Great job, guys.
Nice.
Well, you're not going anywhere.
No, but I was going to flush the toilet. I didn't want to flush it earlier. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
And you know what?
God. Holy shit.
Amazing, man. He's done wonders with the toilet.
Hey, Tom. Yeah. I'm telling that story when you get back. And the YouTube crowd just heard it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
I didn't forget.
YouTube's on, yeah.
Yeah. I'll be back. I got to check on something.
Well, I'm going to bring up the chat.
You guys touched on a telescope. That's a great segue in it.
I know.
Yeah.
That's
Why you did it.
yeah. I brought that up because I wanted to make sure
Yeah,
that
right.
people would understand.
I got a little bit of a cough, so if I have to mute this, it's not going to matter because it's going to pick it up.
3 minutes, Bill.
yeah.
Less than 3 minutes.
Huh?
Less than 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Get your stuff together. Remember George Carlin? 2 minutes. Get your stuff together.
You still want to go out for a drink with him?
Well, I didn't know how late. We're on the air. In terms of YouTube.
YouTube can still hear us. KGRI can't.
Everybody on YouTube now knows your plans, and they may spill the beans. Don't do it, folks. All right. So anyway, delay.
Oh.
Yeah. Tom is noticing the
go.
delay. There,
Just
see.
sat down.
Ta-da. So basically, we're going to be back here. We're going to be going back on in just a couple minutes. I'm trying to find the app. Is it this? No. Which app is this guy? No.
Can't see it.
Can't see it. Oh, you know what? I know how to find it. Just do this. Wink. There we go. Okay.
1 minute. We got time.
We have a minute and 30 seconds before we come live, folks, and then we'll be back. Want to say hi to Marianne Robb in chat. She is the Gilbert, Arizona police officer with whom I spent 10 hours riding around in a police car and she didn't have a vest for me, so I couldn't get out of the car. But she said I could. I think she was trying to get me hit by a car. I'm kidding. She would never do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I see, okay, we have Karen Belmont, who is another fellow Minnesotan. She lives near, not near, because no one lives near Ronald. And we have other people. Welcome, Ted, Carmen, and Cindy Murphy. Hello. Not sure who else. I don't know. Genghis is here. Genghis Khan. Maria Duff is here. Thank you for coming out. James Dugan, he's from Down Under. Welcome to our chat. These are a lot of the people that actually attend the SkyTour live stream as well, which is very nice. D. Smith is here. Hello. And we still have time. We have about 30 seconds before we hit the air, so I want to make sure I hit all the names. Do is here. It's nice to see you guys. Welcome, and thanks for coming out to hear us. Like I said, we're hitting 3 million people each month. I thought it was 4.
It's 3. All right, we're coming back. You guys ready?
No.
You're going to be.
I want to talk to Tom.
All right, stand by. In 3,
2,
2, 1, go.
Hey, this is Mark D'Antonio with SkyTour Radio. Welcome back. I'm here with Amanda Curran, who is our unofficial Sailor Moon character here at SkyTour Livestream. I'm sorry, SkyTour Radio. Okay. And she's also my co-host on SkyTour Livestream. You doing okay over there, Amanda?
I'm all right.
Yeah, she got a smile on her face, Yeah, and I got to tell you really quick, it was amazing seeing Amanda's face throughout the Pine Bush Festival. She was kind of, nervous about making this trip to the States. She's never done that before, as far as I remember. I think
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and she went from being nervous to absolutely, totally outgoing. It was fantastic to see the transformation.
Well, that's the real me. It's only when anxiety gets in the way
that's
that I
okay. That's okay.
freeze
But
up.
right now, I'd like to welcome Thomas Reed.
Yay!
Hey, Tom. This is Tom Reed here. You can see him here on the YouTube channel. Tom is the man who has championed UFO Monument Park. And tell us about UFO Monument Park. Sure. And let me say some words now and then, because I know you have such a wonderful... he talks about it, and it's like you just want to sit there and listen. But I realize I'm a radio host. I have to kind of butt in every now and then. But you know what? I'm going to let him talk.
That's a kind way of saying I ramble.
Oh no, I definitely ramble. Now I never.
You're very passionate, Tom.
I haven't met Tom personally. I met him last year very briefly, and this year I finally met him, and I think we're friends now.
Good guy.
I think we're friends.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming.
And we're friends too.
That's right, Amanda,
Yeah.
and she is. I'm glad she came too.
I am too.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
are.
Yeah, nice to meet her. Okay, so what? Just in general about the park, or what's going on?
No,
or?
I want to know what precipitated the park. Tell us about the event that made this park happen.
Well, back in 1969, we had a diner that was in town, not far from the park where it sits now, maybe a half a mile or so. Yeah. And it was Labor Day, and my family had gone back to the diner to close it up, and we were taking a shortcut home as it was getting kind of dark. And we had gone through the Sheffield Bridge, which actually has its own Wikipedia. You can also
covered bridge.
Yeah, the covered bridge, old rickety covered bridge. And as we went across it, my grandmother had turned around from the passenger seat to remind me not to give my brother a candy. I don't know why I remember that so vividly, but I do. And because she thought he could choke. And doing so, she had turned and looked out the back of the car when she saw this light, kind of like a sphere, about 4 times the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, rise from the banks of the bridge.
Wow.
Some have said that it came out of the water. I don't really know where it came from. I don't think the water's that deep to have encompassed such a large object. But I think it was just hovering over the water. And it rose up and it went along a cornfield. And in the same direction our car was going. And off to the right there was a second one, which was orange, which is still seen today. We spoke to some people today at the park, and they still say they see it. And then my mother pulled the car off to the side of the road, and off to the left was what looked like a metallic type, typical disc-shaped object. And we just sat there and looked at it and parked the car and looked out the window, and then there was this eruption of crickets and katydids, and a light flashed into the car, and we had one hell of a night. And
so this was a disc, or was it an orb? I mean, what did
there
it look
were
like?
3 parts to it.
Well, see, this is what I want to know.
Right. Okay. So when we came out the bridge, there was like a white orb off to the left of the bridge.
Okay.
The driver's side of the car, which rose up probably 2 stories. Off to the right of the car on the passenger side, up ahead a little bit, there was a second one, same size, but orange. So there was a white one on the left and an orange one on the right. The one on the right was much lower. The one on the right was rising. This one stayed low.
These are both orbs.
Well, I would sphere or
Spheres? Okay.
orb, you know, I refer to them as an orb because I'd actually seen them on our property prior to that, where they looked like they faded out and came. You know, you could see them again.
But it's spherical is basically what you're
spherical,
saying.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we drove basically past them to what looked like a disc that we saw over an open cornfield. And that's where we stopped. So there were 3 parts to this, and we were pretty much parked in the station wagon right smack in the middle of this triangle.
Nighttime.
About 9 o'clock, dusk.
So you didn't get any pictures?
No.
You know, because this isn't.
We didn't have cell phones back
This
in the
isn't.
day.
No. But this. I was about to say this isn't the cell phone age. It wasn't the cell phone age, so you didn't have these things. Just pull out and just videotape.
Right.
Your sister or brother, picking at themselves or whatever, and doing stupid things and embarrassing them with it. So we didn't have that back then.
No. Yeah. But it did go out on WSBS radio, and it was seen by judges and
at the time.
Yes. That night.
Wow. See, that's important. That's corroboration. That's corroborative information that really makes this not just some people in a car, looking at something saying, hey, I saw this. Oh, yeah, really? Well, obviously it went out. There's other people that were witness to this, right?
Oh, absolutely. Tom J., who was the DJ of the morning host for WSBS Radio, was also a ham radio operator. Mm-hmm. And so after dinner, he had gone to his room and was playing with his ham radio where he overheard others talking about what they saw in the sky. So with that said, he had contacted the Great Barrington Police Department and the Sheffield Police Department, which was only one officer, but to find out other people were making these reports. And so with that, he went back to the station, opened it up, and went on the air and said, is anyone else seeing this? Where can I see it? What's happening? And that's when Jan Green had actually been driving down the road and actually had pulled into WSBS and pounded on the door. Now, her family used to own the local pharmacy in town. So she was well known. So she saw it, and she was a witness to it as well, along with about 250 other people.
Wow. So you see, so folks, you see, these UFO sightings are not just constrained to nutcases off in the corner someplace or sitting in the cornfield, getting high or doing whatever you want. Okay, there's the older folks are involved in this case. A lot of folks. And what about, wasn't there actually town officials that actually saw this too?
Oh, yeah. There's a judge,
Yeah.
Judge Kevin Titus.
Yeah, Kevin Titus saw it, who's a judge.
He actually saw the mutilated cow. I got a little bat in my throat's scratchy from being interviewed like 5 times yesterday.
Okay.
But Judge Titus. And then you had the police officer who was in Sheffield. Galata was his name. He actually had seen it and actually had people go out in their cars into fields and sit in their police cars and actually look for it. So that's how powerful it was that it drove these officers to actually get in their vehicles and drive to. I think Bill was there when they were speaking to both of us about how they were so driven to go look for it. And then with that, my father, who was later on was a politician. He was in Canaan, Connecticut. He was backed by Senator Christopher Dodd.
Okay.
Actually was so taken by this and over the years had been he wanted to do something with it. So he actually took it to the United Nations through an attorney who was a friend of the family's, Robert Blechman, who organized the United Nations Symposium in 1992 with the help of Mohammed Ramadan, who was the head of the parapsychology department within the United Nations. And it was held on October 2nd, 1992.
Okay.
And later on, my father would pass on that same day. So therefore, there was this, local, heartfelt, pay it forward type of thing, where they wanted to do something and to pay back the how my father was advocating what took place. And so with that, the Historical Society, being that my father was also part of the Historical Society, there was quite a web here. So they wanted to bring out this monument, in memory of my late father.
Yeah.
And with that was unveiled live on ABC News New York, and I was there for that unveiling. And then later on, it was within 2 weeks, it was destroyed. And so that was repaired, and then it was spray painted again by, who knows. And so I got a call from Chief Eric Munson of the Sheffield Police Department, who thought it might be a good idea to put the governor's seal on it, because the governor actually issued a citation inducting this incident into United States history.
Good.
And so since that seal has been put on the monument, or was at first a marker, it hasn't been bothered at all. It's been there for 4 years now. We've got a lot of sponsors. It's become a very positive, feel-good park for all the right reasons.
Can you tell us any of the secret information that we know about the park coming up?
Disclosure? Park disclosure?
Well, yeah, the park disclosure.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I can do that.
Give us some.
I can do it with you guys.
Yeah, check this out. Okay,
Yeah.
This is cool.
Because you guys got, what, like 5 million listeners or something? It's ridiculous like
Three.
that?
I thought 4, and Bill just corrected me. He said 3.
All right, well, 3. I guess we can do 3.
No, we can deal with 3.
All right. In what I really am trying to do with this park, I live 1,000 miles away from it. I'm not even close to the place, but it does sit at the exact location of where this incident took place, and the monument is there, and so on and so forth. So what I wanted to do was, being that there were so many witnesses that supported our family, that I wanted to do something for the community, pay it forward.
Sure.
And so with that, I lease the land now. And now that I lease the land, I'm able to make changes and grow it and do something really nice for the community. So with that...
See, folks, this is the kind of guy he is. Okay, which is why I want him sitting next to me to talk about this thing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, so it's true. I don't write a book. I don't sell anything. I got some mugs once in a while, but yeah, I don't do this for any financial... I'm not looking to make a dime on this thing.
Yeah.
So what I did was there you go.
Well,
Convenient,
YouTube,
isn't it?
YouTube folks can
It's
see
actually a nice mug. I actually was very impressed by it.
You can see ufopark.org mug. It's a beautiful mug. Nicely done in black and white. There's a gorgeous logo on the front for UFO Monument Park. And Tom can tell you where you can get those after he talks.
Bill's house.
Well, more than that.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so back to the park. Okay, so once I was able to lease this property, I actually took some space about the size of a football field, about 100 square yards, give or take. And with that, I had a lot of support. I had people calling me saying, well, can we do something to help, And so one of the first people or organizations to get behind me was the Roswell UFO Museum. Being that I speak there, and we were talking one day in the library, speaking with, Kat and Karen and Jim over there. And I said, well, if we were to donate, something to the park, do you think that would be well received? Because at the time it was not really anything more than just an open area of land. And so I said, sure, that would be, a beautiful tribute, to my late father and the whole bit. And so with that, a company that I own decided to share this bench with them, and that went in. And then along with that, Gary Holloway out of Louisiana had decided to, donate 2 solar lights. And so there was one solar light in front of one bench, and then a second bench came in that was sponsored by Travis Walton and Ben Hansen from Factor Faked. And then the other solar light went next to that. And before you know it, this park started to take its own shape. Nothing that I planned on.
A life of its own.
Nothing that I expected. And then all of a sudden, I would say within the last 60 days, we've gotten over $12,000 in sponsorships.
Isn't that incredible?
That's incredible, yeah.
We got Ancient Aliens has donated a sign, which Bill, from KGR Radio was there for that unveiling of that sign, which, by the way, the sign itself was funded by, Prometheus or Ancient Aliens, but the outside of the sign, which was made somewhere else, so that piece that Ancient Aliens had sponsored was affixed to, was actually donated by a movie director, Louis Morneau's brother, Len Morneau. Louis Morneau is, I guess, renowned for several films like The Werewolf, The Beast Within Us, and Bats with Lou Diamond Phillips. And so with that, now we've got a movie director's brother building the sign for the Ancient Alien sign. And then, oddly enough, after the passing of a good friend of mine, Stanton Friedman, and I've never told anyone this before, because it just happened, 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, he told us earlier.
We were on a boat.
Stunned by this.
Yeah, that a good friend of Stanton Friedman's wife, Holloway, out of Louisiana, has opted to pay for a very nice telescope.
Terrestrial telescope, yeah.
Which I think you touched on a telescope earlier. And so I'd really like you there for the unveiling of that, Mark.
I'll be there.
Yeah, so that there's basically a $6,500 telescope donated by Gary Holloway of Louisiana in honor of Stanton Friedman, which is going in our park. So we were there today to look for a spot for this, being that the telescope is already paid for. It's on its way to Bill's house, actually. And so we found 2 spots. We're probably going to put it out in the air and let people pick a spot. Let everyone say, spot A or spot B. One is actually right off the waterway where we first saw this white sphere.
Okay.
And the other one is up closer to the bridge, so you can see down the waterway better. Because where we saw the sphere has actually got a lot of trees around it. So you're going to be limited to what you can look at. But that's actually overlooking the actual spot. But so it was hard because it is a wooded area. There's a lot of trees, a lot of the bridges and cars, and so you have to really put it. And also the land there is not even, and so if you put it down near the water, then you can't really see anything but a hill when you turn it around. So it's going to be hard to find the exact spot, a really good spot for it.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about that because Stanton also was an advocate of our case. He actually spoke with the Historical Society in Massachusetts in 2015.
Yeah.
I actually have a picture of him holding the letter of induction by the state of Massachusetts Historical Society.
That's wonderful, man.
So I'd like to have that picture affixed to the telescope, and I've got the last words that he ever said to Gary Holloway on an email, which I think would be, a nice thing to do.
Touching tribute.
Yeah, because he was a good friend of mine too. I've known him for a long time, and I respected him a lot.
Oh, maybe we can just build an observatory there too. Yeah.
Well, I'm free next year, and the way the money is rolling in for this park, we might just be able to do that.
Yeah,
so
put an astronomical telescope on the site and make it. You have a Stanton Friedman telescope now.
Yeah,
isn't that freaking incredible?
That's
incredible. I'm actually blown away by that. And today,
wild?
I'm of all things. I miss the guy.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Stanton here than the telescope.
Yeah,
but his legacy will live on. This is something that no one. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
I felt horrible when I heard the news, but what a place to put it too. And Massachusetts isn't that far from Canada. It's not like we're out west. And it's not far from the Betty and Barney Hill incident, which he was very involved with. And so I'd like to do something. I'd like to do something else. I'd like to pay for the plaque for it or add to it and do something really nice, and I'd like you to be there for that. So
I'd love to be there. Thank you. I'm humbled by that. It's very nice. I think that all the things you've done throughout your life kind of is leading to this path you're on right here. And I'm really happy to call you friend, and I'm very happy that you took the charge of this. This is great. In fact, until I heard about this incident from you, it didn't really get a whole lot of press.
Yeah, isn't that strange?
Yeah.
Because it's been in mainstream pretty much more than any other case. It really has been. It's been on the cover of the Boston Globe. I've been on the cover of the Boston Globe, and I didn't blow anyone up or anything. I've been on the cover of the Boston Globe regarding this. The park has been on the cover of the Boston Globe. It's been in the New York Post, the Washington Times, LA Times. But it's one of those cases that when it happened, it was such a small town, there wasn't a newspaper, And they only had this one little radio station, which was in Great Barrington. And if Tom J was not listening to his ham radio, none of this would have ever happened, And let me tell you how this got inducted. Would you like to know the loophole for this?
I'd like to hear about that.
All right, so
paint a picture for everyone listening.
All right, I'll do that. I got a little hoarse throat, so I'm scratchy here, but
that's okay.
All right, so if I cough, I'm sorry. All right, so how this whole thing happened. All right, so after the accident and with my car, I had a car accident. I was actually hit by a tractor-trailer truck and nearly died. My father came to Florida and said, you should write about this to take my mind off the accident. And so we were writing about, how should we approach this? Because back in the day, people weren't very nice to us in Sheffield because of the talk. It wasn't. We were outsiders. We were New Yorkers, and so we didn't want to throw Sheffield under the bus over a handful of people.
Right.
And so, we didn't. But it was the friction. It was the fights. It was the tension back in the day that divided the community. And because of the arguing and the push and shove situations and the police reports, with the New Yorkers coming in from New York City going to Great Barrington for the horse race track, and you had a lot of locals there that, they were farmers. There was this dynamic of farmers and the more polished New Yorkers coming in from Manhattan, or one of the boroughs anyway, or White Plains, what have you. And so they would eat at our diner. We would meet at our diner because that was the first restaurant you saw coming down Route 7, and there was no other eateries in the area.
Yeah.
And so these fights had proven to alter the natural progression of the community because it involved the UFO. And so when the town and the locals and the police and all this back in the day said, well, we're not denying that you saw something because it went out on the radio. I mean, it was during Labor Day, so all these people actually saw this craft together in mixed company. And so there was no denying they saw something. But over the years, it got to the point where, well, we can't, something did take place. Howard Reed would lose his life on the same day it was mentioned at the UN. We want to do something for him. And so there was this big push to do something for my father. And the only way to get it inducted or get the Historical Society or the state to move on it was to find a way to get this done through what historically has been, if you can alter the natural progression of a community, like Billy the Kid did with the railroad.
Yeah.
If you can alter the railroad, if you can make that kind of a profound statement, then the event as a whole is true because you changed normal history, what would be normal history. And so the first time they voted on it, they said, a UFO type of thing, boom, no way. And then Debbie Oberman from the Historical Society had said, well, if we look at this thing in more of an historic way, like Billy the Kid or these other individuals back in the day who did something profound enough to alter the area, then that is historically true. That is historically significant, and the event is true. And so on, August of 2015, in February was the first letter, 2015, they went to a census, and yes, they voted it in. And now it's the only UFO case in America to be deemed historically significant and true by Historical Society and 2 seals from the governor. And then it was also sealed by a circuit court judge in the 30th District Court.
I have to say, Tom, you should be pretty darn proud of that.
I am.
Because, you deserve all the accolades for getting this thing to move forward and to actually have someone like Gary Holloway come forward and offer up a terrestrial telescope, in memory of Stanton Friedman, who we all knew, we all loved. He was a wonderful man. That's a fantastic, poignant reminder.
It's very touching. It's touching.
Yes, it's a poignant reminder of just what Stanton Friedman meant to everybody. And to have it associated with what is soon to become a very much more high-profile case, I think is really important.
Yeah, and again, I am a little surprised that it didn't get more press back in the day. I mean, it was a small town, but I mean, I was given some articles today from someone from where it was, there were crop circles and stuff in the area right next to our park, and apparently there has been articles in the paper about it, but it just doesn't seem to circulate because the paper isn't picked up. Does that make sense? It's a smaller paper, so the articles don't get picked up by the Globe really back in the day or the New York Post.
Yeah.
But someone did give me some papers today, handed and said, you got to see this, and I was like, son of a gun. So he had gone to the library and looked for the archives.
Just slightly behind the curve.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sheffield's way behind the curve, but
yeah.
It's not anymore, right?
Yeah. And actually, living in that area is my very good friend. I've known him for 6-7 years now, and that's Douglas Trumbull. He lives up there, and Doug is, of course,
Marlboro, I think.
Yeah, he's an Academy Award-winning visual effects man. We've done work together, and I'll have to talk to Doug about this and see if there's a possibility that he.
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. That would be an honor as well.
I would just drop that on you here live. I thought about it a long time ago, but I didn't want to say it until I got to hear it. I'll check in with Doug and see if he's interested in.
See, here's the other thing with the park too. By the way, the park is not big. It's a small park.
Sure.
So I need to be careful from here on out who I allow into it, if that makes sense. You just can't. Exactly.
Oh, so you're saying that Doug can go, but I can't?
Let me think about it. Let me sleep on it.
Please. I'm 4 years old. I'll behave myself.
All right. Sold me. So,
just kidding.
But also, Shockwave Motors, one of our sponsors, was there today, too. I don't want to forget to mention them.
No, they
are an electric car manufacturer. They brought their car out there today. They were doing a meet and greet.
That car was sick, man. That thing was amazing.
Yeah, I got pictures of that. I'll give it to you. You can put it up on your
love it.
page, But this is what I mean. They offered to do it. They drove it all the way down from nearly Atlanta, 1,000 miles to bring this car to the park, free for a meet and greet.
Wow.
And then all these stones were just given, and willow trees, and additional solar lights by KGRE Radio, and bushes, and it's amazing. I mean, it's what it is. It's very humbling to know that there's still people out there with that good of a heart.
Right? Is that not true? I mean,
I'm really shocked because
true.
it's a cold world today.
Yeah, well, it could be.
In a lot of ways, it is, and
Yeah.
and this is so. It's the people have just been so giving and warm and supportive. I'm really impressed. Very happy.
Yeah. Well, I'm like I said, I'm proud to call you friend. I think that what you've done
Probably.
for UFO Monument Park is really funny guy. And by the way, he has a hell of a sense of humor too, guys.
Yeah, I'm really under the weather right now. I'm sorry.
And Tom's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I do all
he
right.
dropped the vocal cord in the driveway, but he stuffed it back in there. It seems to be working okay. But
Yeah.
I actually only have one vocal cord myself. Actually,
Do you really?
I do. I have a paralyzed vocal cord that occurred 4 years ago.
Well, you certainly get the mileage out of the other one.
I do. And I think the other one is,
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I understand. And no, he didn't really drop a vocal cord out in the driveway. I'm just making that joke.
It was my wallet.
It was a wallet, yeah. And it was promptly stolen by Ronald from ERRT Radio, who suddenly got some new equipment. I don't know how that happened.
We know where he is. We know where he is. He lives on that little postage stamp.
We know where he sleeps,
So.
And I just want to say also that KGRA Radio will be at the park when that telescope is installed, and we will cover it.
Oh, by the way, there's also a TV show being filmed there next week.
Nice.
I can't tell you what it is, but yeah, I can't. I got a non-disclosure.
That's fine. That's fine. Hey, and I know this was a little bit of a different SkyTour Radio this week, and Amanda's still sitting over there patiently on the couch. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask Tom. If you don't, that's okay, but I just want to know what's going on. How you doing?
I just want to give everyone an opportunity to speak and hear everyone's perspective on the festival this weekend.
Oh, that was awesome.
I think it was a lot of fun. I met great people. Lucky enough, I think I can call Tom a friend too now. And I love what he's doing with the park. I saw the footage that Bill did for him a few weeks ago, and it just shows that so many people want to be involved in something positive and something to bring the community together. And for you to have started that ball rolling is a wondererful thing.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, and you're just like I said. I know that there are people that are there's always the haters out there who you say UFO and they make jokes and all this, but guess what? Like it or not, there's life in the universe, and like it or not, they may or may have already found us. Mm-hmm. So, and as someone, a person of science, I feel confident in saying that I believe that they could very well be here, and have made it, plying the gulf between the stars. Not easily. It's not an easy thing. Traveling in space is hard. Okay, so anyway, I think that makes a lot of sense to consider all the possibilities. And next week on SkyTour Radio, we will be, I think,
somewhat back to normal. Oh no, we might be off for Memorial Day weekend.
I think
it'll be a replay.
Yes. We were told we cannot broadcast next weekend, folks.
I didn't say that.
Bill said we cannot broadcast next week.
I think
folks.
you did. I think you did.
Yeah, Tom. See, Tom, support me, Tom. Come on, man.
I am.
Anyway, folks.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, you may, but make it about 4 seconds.
4 seconds. Okay. One of the things I want to mention about.
Okay, well that's it. No.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Right.
So, is that the town at first, when this park was being built, had second thoughts about it because they kept making jokes about wackadoodles and all this kind of thing. You know how the rolling of that. Well, since the outpour of the community and the people donating, the people going to the park, and the warm, friendly feel that it has with frisbees and the kids and everything, the town has completely changed their outlook or look in general on this topic. So it's actually affecting mainstream's opinion of what those people are who have seen something like this.
And
they're
Tom,
getting respect.
It starts with that. It starts with that. Now, I've always said that the mainstream press has to change. And you know what? If not from the ground up like you're doing with the grassroots, it's going to be from the perspective of science. Mm-hmm. And that's very important. And on that note, we are going to have to say goodnight. I want to thank you,
guys.
Tom Reed, for joining
Good night,
us. UFO Monument Park, www.ufopark.org. Check it out. This is Mark D'Antonio for SkyTour Radio. And on behalf of Amanda and myself, I want to wish you a good night. And remember, folks, keep looking up.
Except while you're driving.
Yes.
Clear. It was fine. I took out a commercial. It was fine.
Thank you.
Anyway, folks, we're going to wrap this stream up, but I'm going to ask Mark before we do Mark, later on, if you have an opportunity and you want to help Ronald with that telescope, or even tomorrow before you guys will split, if you still want to help him, I can do that live, and we can put the telescope right here, and you guys can talk about it.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be pretty cool. But we'll check it out.
We'll decide that. But also, for those, thank you for coming on here on the channel and watching SkyTour Radio, and keep an eye out for SkyTour live stream, and, of course, P&K Space Imaging, or P&K Science, actually.
They went back to P&K Space Imaging.
Oh, they did?
They did, yeah.
Okay. Well, for those, everybody that's watching, you all have a great night. And don't forget, next week is Memorial Day, and pay tribute to the veterans lost and those that are serving today. They do so much for our country. Support the vets. All right. So till then, folks, we're out of here. Have a great night, and we'll see everybody soon. Have a great night.
All right, guys. See you later.
Night all.